to make is that, you download this app for a purpose, right? You don't download this app for entertainment. You download this app because you care. And that's the motivation of going back to the app, is to see, okay, is this campaign reaches its goal yet? What is the event that he's pushing out, and how can I help this guy? I guess that's the motivation of using this app, right? It's not like Facebook. It's not like Instagram, where you constantly go and check, pictures or whatever. It has a purpose in it.
Well, and how are people going to find out about it? I think one of the main ways, if you make it competitive, is people are going to recruit their friends. I mean, people aren't just going to see this app advertised on Twitter and go jump on it. It's not like you're going to be using AdWords, which I am entirely too familiar with. You're not going to be paying a bunch of money for that unless you're able to get a whole lot of money back, but it's not going to work that way, at least not this fast. So really, it's word of mouth. It's, hey, I got my buddy to donate $20. Now maybe I can get him to download the app and, go run down his relatives and bug the hell out of them. But so maybe a thing in the app for sending a link to the place in the Play Store where the app is to one of their friends. Just put in the phone number and it'll text it to them or something like that.
Facebook sharing. That's a big one.
That too. But if the app is going to go viral, it's going to go viral from me sitting here saying, hey, Brendan, I got this cool app. Here's the link. It's not going to go viral by, people looking at a bunch of posts, like 15 posts in a row, and trying to read them all quickly because they're trying to get done with their coffee and get out the door.
Also, if we can get like celebrities, how like back in the days during the Ice Bucket Challenge, where you have a lot of celebrities that are involved. So we can potentially have
at
small time
local celebrities.
Yeah, at least local celebrities to gain popularity of this application. I think it's something that it's very beneficial, I guess. And also with Ryan's network, he has a lot of networks. So the app can gain traction through his network. We can work that network and get the app off the ground that way.
I really like the competition base too. Like maybe if there's 3 or 4 teams and each team has a different goal. Like the blue team is here to cure. Is here to cure a different form of.
You're there, Aaron. It's working.
Sorry. And then I really like that because then, okay, I donated to the blue team. I want more people to donate to the blue team. But the funny thing is there's no losers. Yeah. You could choose red, green, blue, orange, purple, and each of them are going to the same funnel.
Just competition's sake. Yeah.
Well, and the other question too is, what's the reward?
Yeah.
You won?
Yeah,
let's find something else. I mean, if you've got celebrities that are known, maybe the celebrity can do something.
Yeah.
You need to dangle a carrot.
Right. The reason I chose 150,000 is because when one candidate raises 150,000 for this, traditionally they get a 2-person, all expenses paid. They get wined and dined, and they go to New York City for the research benefit. But I want to send my best friend and his mom, who lost their father and their husband, to that in my place. That's my purpose for raising 150,000. But they will. I mean, I know they don't know them. That's my purpose. But how do we get a purpose similar to that, or what can I give back?
Well, it may not be a matter of giving back. It may be a matter of dangling a reward or a prize, in which case what we usually did in order to get that is you get a local business to donate the prize. and then other people compete for that prize, the business gets to write off the cost of it as a charitable donation. And people start competing for it. Also, if the prizes that you get from your connections are not worth all that much, a $40 gift certificate to Red Lobster and a $100 thing to Red Wing Shoes or whatever, okay, put them in a gift basket. This gift basket is now worth X amount of money, or if it's that's for individuals. Something with the teams. If the teams are local to each other, then maybe a meeting or a night out with whatever celebrity. The team thing is a little bit harder to come up with a prize if they're scattered far and wide. If you can get them under one roof, it becomes a lot easier.
Can you feature them in some sort of something for this, the organization you're working for, that they'll show their names? All these people donated so much money.
I can, yeah. I mean, there's no limit to that.
So then you have the ego and the attention factor, like Scott was saying, that they get their names up there, everybody sees them. That can be a motivation a lot of times.
Right.
I mean, as Scott was saying, you're not going to give a $40 gift to 1,000 people that are all part of the team. There you go. You just gave all your money away.
Yeah. But like you said, and some people just like to give, I like to give. It makes me feel good. It's a selfish reason in a selfless way.
True.
Well, and as a few of you know, I was a workshop presenter for quite a while. And the things that I taught could help people have a lot more fun in their relationships. And I would give a workshop, and then the next week, this one gal comes running up to me saying, I did it, I got it, I understand. And she jumps up in my arms and wraps her legs around my waist in front of like 50 people. And I'm like, yeah, I made that happen.
Yeah.
And that's ego.
Yeah.
That's totally ego. And yeah, okay, so it's ego. She did something great. She had a wonderful time. I had a good time. So what?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you can bump up the fact that what people are doing is making a difference. Here's where it's making a difference. This is great. But there's this other person who still needs help, because you can't just say you did something and stop, because they'll feel like, okay, I did my good deed for the day. Now I'm done.
Yeah.
No, we got these two, but there's this one more over here.
That's a great point.
Maybe each team has a different goal at the end to say, or there's like 3 or 4 different prizes, and you want, what if, I have an idea. There's a boy and a girl, and you can donate to a boy and a girl. So I want to send them each on a vacation to Disneyland or World or wherever. We'll choose 2 different places. You can donate to the blue team, and that'll send Declan to Disney World and his family. You can donate to the red team. The red team will send them to X.
That's it. That's how you do a large prize without having to scatter it all over Hell's Half Acre. You get businesses to chip in for something really nice, and you say, I have these 2 possible people that we could give it to. Which ones do you want to send to Disney World? Or something like that. But have 2 things so that the other one still gets something valuable. This way you don't have to give your prizes away to 1,000 people.
Right.
It's still only going to 4 people.
The kids with leukemia.
Right. It's just that now the team is fighting for their kids.
Right.
In order to try and get their kids the top prize instead of the second prize, which is almost as good.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then
because nobody gets left out. You don't want to. You don't want people looking at this saying that you're
There's no losers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And what Scott's saying, I think, is a great idea, because you get them invested, as he just said, in their kid. you know, it becomes, it's not just leukemia. I would even think to add some information about that said kid, that they like keep up with him or whatever, that it becomes sort of their kid.
Right. And I can go on Facebook Live with the kid and, you know, interview him and say,
Exactly.
Declan wants
Do it via the app. That's another reason to keep that app.
Say, we've got Tony, Susie, Bobby, Lori, everybody in here. Thank you so much. You've contributed. I wanted to give a shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. You mean, you know, the world to us. I've bought stupid things on webinars where some guy called my name out. And that wasn't even for charity.
Knowing planning as I do, if you've got notes, you're going to spend the next 3 days running around saying, oh yeah, this person could do this, and all these little details will start falling into place in your head over the next few days. You'll start thinking of businesses that can donate and other things like that. And just, you know what a Moleskine notebook is?
Yeah.
A wheel book, little flip wheel book.
Yeah.
Keep one in your pocket with a pen. So
I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I've started doing here was just writing what it's called an epic, really. They're not really user stories because I think there's many user stories that goes underneath these 4 things. Like this would be a user story under this epic. So I have 4 epics here. One is, as a campaign organizer, I would like to create a unique persistent account in I'm calling the 4 LLS application. I don't know what the app is called. That's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
Whatever. The next epic is, as a campaign organizer, I would like to create a campaign in the application in order to track campaign donations, right? And then as a donor, and this is a different actor, because those 2 things are what a campaign organizer would do. The next actor would be a donor, right? So as a donor, I would like an option to donate blood to a campaign, right? And under that would be, I would like to be to connect or to search for the nearest blood donation center. And there are probably a ton of different stories associated with just donating blood to a campaign. And then the next story would be the option to donate money via, I don't know what, we'll just say money right now, to a campaign. So the next story to that would be, how are they donating money, and then what happens after they donate money.
Yes.
So based upon what we were saying earlier, these 4, here, I'll take this out, but because that's really a user story under these 4 epics. These 4 epics are the MVP, right?
Yes.
Would you guys agree? Okay. Okay. So then we can start breaking down those epics into little stories, or into smaller chunks called stories, and start executing on those, just to get that MVP part done. Is any of that resonating or making sense with you guys?
Yeah, it's good.
I have no idea.
I'm sorry?
That makes sense to me.
So. How many, you're going to let every person that goes on the app technically become a campaign organizer, or you're going to have that really, like that you were saying before, Scott was saying, like 3 teams, 4 teams, that's going to be sort of set from the beginning? Well,
So how a campaign organizer organizes their campaign might be different, right? So we could have that type of campaign that is team oriented, but we might have an organizer who simply want to provide a way for whomever they choose to share their information with to donate money or blood, right? So I think under the epic of creating a campaign, you might have multiple stories on what type of campaign to create, right? Whether it is the team-based campaign, or it's just a simple donation campaign. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So these are epics. Those are not stories. They're like higher level targets. So you can literally drill down into the epic about creating a campaign and what kind of campaign, setting up the groups, stuff like that. And yes, to answer your question, any campaign organizer can set up a campaign like the one we've described that's group-based, right? It really depends on how each campaigner wants to, or organizer wants to organize their campaign, right? So,
I believe it should be kind of tree structure. So there will be one root campaign organizer. Then if that person will do the campaign, and each person that he reaches or she reaches to that, then they can build their own campaign under the structure of the root, the main person. So it will be kind of root, a tree
and that
structure.
could be true. That could be possible as well. But I think we also have to consider that Scott is one of many campaigners, right? He wants his app to reach not only the people who are organizing for his campaign, but other people who are running campaigns as well, to be used by a broader audience than just the audience that he is targeting for his campaign, right? So there might be another person associated with LLS who wants to use this app and organize a totally different type of campaign. They wouldn't necessarily be a child organizer of Scott. They would be a different organizer altogether.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Did I understand that?
That's the point. So that
Okay.
it's not their own campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
One more point from my point of view. So have we thought about the integration of the application with the financial institution for raising the money, and also about the security? Because one of the big concern or challenge would be making the application secure, because people should trust that this application is secure, so they will enter their financial, credit card information and these all information.
Right. So from my perspective, honestly, I think that I would tend to steer away from collecting financial information and to use services like PayPal or
Square.
I'm sorry?
Or Square maybe.
Or Square has a donation feature?
I was thinking.
No, Square's been one of the best credit card apps I've ever used.
Yeah, it's a credit card app, but my question is, does it have a donation feature, or are we collecting as a vendor?
You're probably collecting as a vendor.
Yes.
You're not going to have you're a vendor and you'll use Square as your processor to process the payments towards whatever they have, I guess, whatever the company's credentials are.
There's
Right.
a link that I can share. I have an actual hyperlink that links. So like there's a campaign tracker. There's something similar to this, but it's web-based. There's no app that can do this. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. As whatever solution we do, it should be outside the app, because other people have already built this kind of security. There's no reason for us to have to.
That's what I'm getting at. I'd rather not reinvent the wheel. And I also would steer clear of collecting financial information if at all possible. Using PayPal to collect donations, which they do have a donation feature, actually kind of absolves us from having to deal with credit card compliance.
Good point.
And one other thing, real quick.
Compliance.
I don't know what the rules are for.
If it hasn't occurred to you yet, consider trying to get people to do Patreon.
That's another option.
That's the
right?
Well, what will happen is even after the thing is over, they will still keep donating, and that way, it can keep going to whatever charity. If they've got a Patreon set up, though, that would have to be done directly to their Patreon. Otherwise, you would be stuck forwarding the money forever.
One more thing would be about how we make people to trust us to do the donation. So we need to get the trust of the people, so the money is going to a right direction, not like a scam, because nowadays there are lots of scams. So people may think, oh, this is a scam, they will get the money and get out. So one way, socially, we have to do something to make people trust that this money is going to those part that's needed, to those needy people.
Yes, and when they if we use the link that I have, they will get a form sent to them in the mail too. If it's over, I think $100 too, so they can write that off on their taxes.
Okay. Okay.
That will all be taken care of through the. Do you want me to give you the link or have?
Well,
Yeah.
not necessarily. Yeah, sure. You can share it. I guess the question is, how do we how do we tie into that system to make sure that the donations are going directly to that system? Or
have them open a web browser.
Web browser.
Yeah.
okay.
It's not really making the app itself useful, but you could just create a button that links to that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
use up Safari or whatever in their phone. I mean,
It'll prompt them for Chrome, Safari, whatever browser. You can open an intent.
Okay. Yep.
then
Well,
it'll
choose
show them
which
my
one
actual
they-
page, and then there's a bunch of trust there. They can go everywhere and search everything.
Yep.
That's,
Okay.
So
That's good.
What is that link? What is that? Okay. I was thinking maybe if there's some like public API for that, maybe.
Yes, that's another question. I don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was looking on the website you posted in the forum, and there was no API on that website, Brendan.
Oh, okay.
Which one is that?
The leukemia website that you posted in the forum. I couldn't find it.
Hopefully from the other person. I was just looking.
I don't think I actually saw your forum post, Brendan, and I apologize for that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
That's not who you are on the forum.
Just
Donna
type in
Kelly?
opportunities.
Donate.le, that's what you're talking about?
Oh,
If you click that link, it takes you right
Yeah.
there. And then there's a donate now button right there too.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
But it doesn't open until midnight Eastern time or something. Nope. Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
well, I guess if they really like what we're doing, probably they can make a public API where we can, as app developers, we can use those public APIs and we can do that straight in the app
Yeah.
instead of navigating away from the app.
and I can talk to
Right.
people at LLS
Yeah,
to
this
have
is.
her connect me.
I don't
if
think
they
it's a big issue. I don't think.
Okay. Okay. That's something to.
So what's the timeline of all this? Let's start mapping out time scheduling.
Yeah. So for his goal, his deadline is around May.
10 weeks, 2 days, 20 hours, 8 minutes, and 20 seconds. So May 5th.
Yep, that's the timeline right there.
Yeah.
So way before that, I don't know.
But I guess this is an ongoing project. And,
Yeah, this is not
yeah.
a one and done thing.
Yeah.
Right, because there are features that are not part of the MPV that will definitely want to add at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I guess my dream from, like I said, I'm very grateful that you're here, and I don't know how to do the technicality of it, but if we can be responsible for creating this, and then I don't even care if my campaign gets any boost from it or not. That would be amazing if it did, but if it didn't, the possibility after that, the goal is to cure cancer. The goal is not to give Ryan Cebulski a bunch of fame and credit. It's not about me.
Yeah.
If we can make a difference and cure cancer because of something like this and have that be our legacy, then man.
Yeah, this is going to be epic.
Talk about ego.
Yeah, talk about ego at that point. So,
Okay.
Well, it might be simpler than that. If we just build the app, an app that can be easily adapted to other purposes, that has the same type of framework that any type of 501c3 like this would need, any type of charity would need.
I'm totally with
And
you.
you just turn the silly thing loose.
Yeah.
And it could be used for anything from blood drive cancer to greyhound rescues.
It could be like the Kickstarter for 501c3s.
So who's good with design? Because that's what I'm not good at. I'm Firebase is probably my best contribution.
I think there's a person on the forum.
That would be me. I have, but I don't. I have experience with UI design.
Yeah, I looked at your design. It's great. It's really.
Thank you. But I don't have experience with material design, so that's something I have to get used to. I did mostly web-based stuff and
Well, I
and
guess
iOS.
yeah. In the MPV phase, I don't think we need a lot of flashy UI. Do you agree, Shelley?
So it depends on if you want to build an app that looks really good and does not a lot, or that does a little bit more and doesn't look that great. So the focus is on, yeah, I think because of the purpose of this app, you know, I would say that, you want to take a middle of the road. You don't want it to be so clunky that people won't use it. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be the flashiest app, because it's not, intended to wow people. It's intended to get in there and get what you need done. The purpose is to raise money, not to make a beautiful app,
Crumpled up $20 bills.
Let me just also make a point that you can, and people don't know about this, you could easily get like a somewhat of a template type of idea, and I could rearrange that. So it's not, designed for you exactly, but nobody really will know that, this came from a template, and it'll look very, very good. I think the hardest thing is actually the programming of it in Android, in XML and whatever, to actually program it to look that good. From the developer's point of view, it's harder to translate a beautiful app that could be designed in Photoshop or Sketch or whatever into a beautiful app that's coded. That is a whole new animal. From my experience dealing with developers and them trying to bring the design into fruition. With CSS and HTML, it's easier. Android seems to me, at least, that's going to be not too easy.
Actually, it's a lot easier than you would think. Brendan, This is exactly where Flutter steps in. You've seen what it can do.
Yes.
And this is Flutter's world.
What is Flutter?
How does Flutter works with what we need to do in the back end? It might look good, but if we can do what we need to do, if we do what the app needs to do, it doesn't matter how it looks.
Yeah,
well, you don't have to choose an either or. Okay, that's the nice thing about it. And another thing is you can turn around and put together all the code for it, get that UI going, and then pluck that source code for Java right out of it and then drop it into Android Studio. Okay, what we're talking about is an SDK that publishes for iOS and Android at the same time. It's in alpha. Google's got a team working on it, and it does some of the sickest UI stuff out there right now. But also, this link that I put in the chat is pretty darn similar, and it wouldn't require trying to bridge between Flutter and just straight up Java Android. But if you take a look at some of the, this right here that's coming up, these UIs are just as good as what Flutter is doing.
But the point is, it's not about the UI, it's about the functionality, though.
No, absolutely, yes. But we were saying about how we want it to look, and that was the next topic we moved on to.
Okay. So these are what UIs? These are plug-and-play UIs. You can just download the source for them. Is that what this is?
I think it's more an article that's just inspiration to get your own idea.
It's inspiration now.
Oh, okay. Got it.
They designed it to be like that, but you don't know how much work actually went into designing that that UI.
Yeah, I don't know how hard it is in straight up Android. I can also talk to the guys tomorrow and see how difficult it would be to just port it right over. It shouldn't be bad.
Okay, so we have four epics, and I think the next step, if everybody agrees on what those epics are, the next step is to break those epics down into stories, right? What does it mean when we say we want to have, hold on, what did I do with my document? when we want to have a to create a unique persistent account in the application. It means they log in with one of their social media accounts, or we, obviously we're using Firebase, but how are they actually logging in, right? Are we going to tie it into social media accounts? Are we just going to have, application-based username and passwords? What does the profile look like? Are we capturing just the person's first name, last name, email address, or is there something more about a campaign organizer we want to capture?
The code level stuff, right? Okay.
So someone's not coming through, and that's calling me.
Is that me? No.
Is that me? Oh, okay. I think we lost Brendan.
No. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey. Somehow we have a loop going on.
Yeah, it's gone now, looks like.
Okay, yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
All right. So does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, I think we just, so you got this 4 epic, which is great, and now we just need to
break them down into smaller stories and start attacking those stories.
Yeah. And also, like, we want to have someone who's overseeing all of this process, like some kind of, like a leader or like a manager in this. Like, who do you want to? I guess who here wants to do that? Like, just to keep everything on track and and stuff.
I could do that. I was trying not to, but I could do that.
I was just nominating you.
Yeah, I'm actually a certified Scrum Master.
Great. I
was trying not to be that, but that's cool.
Great, yeah.
That's awesome.
I was hoping someone who has that.
We can do 3 times as much in a third of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so.
You're the one, Shelly.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to get a Jira account set up and get our epics into Jira, or even I have another another storyboard, another agile kind of storyboard to application that we can use just to get the epics out there. And the next time we meet, which I'm hoping is sometime this week, because looking at our timeline, we don't really have a lot of time to like coalesce. We'd have to like really attack it. So what I'll do is I'll put it into a format that looks like, a Scrum board, and we can start basically dissecting the epics into different stories.
Awesome.
Okay, awesome. I'll do that tonight.
That's great.
Thank you, everybody. And Shelley.
Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So what you want to do before we all leave is to set up another time to meet.
Yes. So you're in Indianapolis this weekend, right?
I'll make myself go.
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. So I'm free anytime.
Okay.
Anytime. So whatever. What
I'd like to do, whether everybody is available or not, is pick a time every day to meet for 15 minutes. That's it. Just find a time. Just meet for 15 minutes and just discuss what we've done and what we are doing next. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine with me.
So pick a time. Everybody pick a time.
Same time, 7:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same time good. Good.
Okay, so 7:30.
Can we bump it up 15 minutes? 7:45? Just I get back like late.
Sure.
Okay, we can do it at 7:45.
I'll make sure I'll record every session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, guys, if you weren't aware, Zoom has a really excellent mobile application. It's awesome. I was literally driving in the car talking to Scott one day. It was amazing. So.
Hey, guys, to give you an idea of how quick and responsive all this is, while we were talking, I asked in the Flutter Gitter chat about how easy would it be to port a UI from Flutter, which is easy to make, over into Android. And it took about 45 seconds for me to get that answer.
Oh, nice.
I love it.
If I ask it again tomorrow, I will probably get answers straight out of the Google team that's designing Flutter.
Sweet.
And if I throw it around, if I say we want help, God knows what we're going to get.
Cool.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Well, Shelly and Brendan have seen what that thing can do. So,
So
and-
it's just Java for you based on the UI?
no, it's kind of complicated, but a long story short, it is,
You want to share, Scott?
I'm looking at that right now.
yeah, it's in a nutshell, it's a different SDK it uses Dart, and it's a lot simpler. It uses a nested UI concept, very much like HTML, and it's almost unlimited what you can do with it. It actually does tie into the business logic very easily. You guys haven't seen that yet, but it really doesn't take much. It's a little bit difficult to get used to the syntax, but the biggest thing for us, and let me actually show you how it compiles down real quick, and this is not nearly as complicated as it sounds.
Okay, just so you know, we got about three minutes. Okay.
All right, that's pretty much all we're going to need. Okay, JSON REST API. That's no, I didn't want to remove it from the list, but okay, whatever. Real quick, data SSD coding. Okay, now that drive is mounted, I can go after something else. Buttons and stateful widgets, fine. Doesn't matter what the app is that we're looking at right here. What matters is that when you compile it, what you get is this is the way it's set up in Flutter. Here are your source files under lib. But what you'll see here is that we've also got iOS and we've also got Android. And that's because the Dart is compiling into both. We published to both iOS and Android in one shot on this thing. So what we've got here is app source. Hey, what do you know, guys? Is this stuff starting to look a little familiar?
Yeah, but I don't. So what is it doing actually then? Like, how is it?
What it's doing is it's compiling the native code for both platforms. It's written
based on the UI that you populate.
No, well, basically what I'm saying is what we can reuse is the way it does the UI. It does a lot more. It's not just a UI thing. This is a full-on development platform, just like the Android SDK. The Flutter SDK is basically an equivalent, but it is an alpha. But the nice thing about it is you can crank out some jaw-dropping UIs very easy. Won't take much of our time, and then you can come in here and you can just yank out the code and move it over. Drop it right into a regular Android app.
We got less than a minute, so
okay.
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up, and thank you guys for so much for being part of this, and we will talk more in the Slack channel.
Can we, everybody maybe share or start a direct message, all of us together, so we could just like be in touch on Slack?
I'm thinking about setting up.
Join the web meeting study room or study hall. Where most everybody who's using this is there. Web meeting study hall.
Or you guys can go under the Hawaiian channel.
It's not Hawaii.
No, we don't have Hawaii anymore. They renamed it. It's called the Web Meeting Study Hall.
Web meeting study hall?
Yeah, they renamed
just do
Hawaii.
# web meeting in the search. You'll find it.
Got it. Joining. Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, it's gonna cut off at any time soon.
All right.
All right, thank you
guys. Tomorrow, 7:45.
7:45 tomorrow. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you, everybody. Thank you.